The enemy sniper had been terrorizing the base for 9 hours, invisible and deadly. Their best counter-sniper couldn't locate him, and casualties were mounting. Then intelligence analyst Captain Rodriguez stepped forward and said, "I know where he'll be next." What happened in the following 12 minutes proved that sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't the rifle, it's the mind behind it. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story resonates with you, consider subscribing for more tales of unrecognized heroes. The intelligence briefing room at Forward Operating Base Blackwater hummed with the constant activity of data analysis as Captain Maria Rodriguez reviewed surveillance footage on her third monitor of the morning. At 0547 hours, she was already deep into her daily routine of pattern recognition, behavioral analysis, and threat assessment that had defined her role for the past 5 years. Maria's workspace reflected the methodical approach that had made her one of the most respected intelligence analysts in the theater. Multiple screens displayed real-time feeds from base perimeter cameras, drone surveillance data, and intercepted communications logs. Her desk was organized with military precision, every document categorized and accessible, every pen and pencil positioned for maximum efficiency. At 29, Maria had built her career on the ability to see patterns that others missed, to identify threats before they manifested, and to predict enemy behavior with accuracy that had prevented dozens of attacks over her 5-year deployment cycle. Her analyses had guided successful raids, prevented ambushes, and provided tactical advantages that had saved countless lives. But this morning felt different. The surveillance feeds showed subtle irregularities, shadows that moved incorrectly, reflections that appeared where they shouldn't exist, and environmental disturbances that suggested the presence of someone skilled in remaining undetected. Maria's training had taught her to trust these instincts. 5 years of studying enemy tactics, infiltration methods, and sniper operations had given her comprehensive understanding of how skilled adversaries operated in hostile territory. The anomalies she was observing followed patterns consistent with advanced reconnaissance, suggesting that someone with sophisticated training was conducting surveillance of their base. She made detailed notes about each irregularity, documenting timestamps, locations, and environmental conditions that might be relevant to understanding the intruder's objectives. Her analysis protocols required comprehensive documentation of all observations, no matter how minor they might seem to others. At 0623 hours, the first shot rang out. Private First Class Danny Morrison was conducting routine perimeter patrol when the round struck him in the shoulder, spinning him around and dropping him behind a concrete barrier that likely saved his life. The shot had come from a distance estimated at over 800 meters, delivered with precision that indicated professional-level marksmanship. "Base Command, this is Outpost 7, came Morrison's voice over the radio, strained but controlled. "Taking sniper fire from unknown position. I'm hit but mobile. Requesting immediate support." Within minutes, the base erupted into controlled chaos as protocols for sniper attacks went into effect. Personnel moved to covered positions, non-essential operations ceased, and the counter-sniper team began deploying equipment designed to locate and neutralize enemy marksmen. Maria watched the response unfold from her intelligence center, correlating the attack location with her earlier observations. The sniper's position was consistent with the anomalies she had documented, confirming her suspicion that they had been under surveillance for hours before the shooting began. Staff Sergeant Michael Chen, the base's primary counter-sniper, established his position on the command building rooftop with equipment that represented the latest in military optics and targeting technology. His spotter, Corporal Lisa Kim, began scanning sectors with methodical precision, searching for muzzle flashes, reflections, or movement that might reveal the enemy's location. "Command, this is Overwatch 1, Chen reported through his communication system, establishing visual coverage of suspected firing positions. No contact with enemy shooter at this time. For the next 3 hours, the base remained in lockdown while Chen and Kim searched for an enemy who seemed to have vanished completely after the initial attack. Their equipment was sophisticated, their training extensive, but the sniper they were hunting possessed skills that matched or exceeded their capabilities. At 10:47 hours, the second shot claimed its victim. Sergeant First Class Amanda Torres was moving between buildings when the round found her, striking center mass with accuracy that killed her instantly. The shot had come from a completely different direction than the first attack, indicating that the enemy sniper had relocated during the search operation without being detected. Maria studied the new attack data, comparing it with surveillance footage that showed no evidence of movement between the two shooting positions. The enemy was operating with sophisticated fieldcraft, using concealment and movement techniques that suggested military-grade training. "This guy's a professional," Chen radioed to Base Command after analyzing the second attack. "Military training, advanced equipment, and he knows our search patterns. We're dealing with someone who understands counter-sniper operations." Colonel James Harrison, the base commander, arrived at the intelligence center where Maria continued analyzing data streams from multiple sources. His expression showed the strain of command responsibility combined with frustration at an enemy who seemed to be operating with impunity. "Captain Rodriguez," Harrison said, approaching Maria's workstation, "I need your assessment of this situation. What are we dealing with?" Maria turned from her screens with the focused attention she applied to all intelligence briefings. "Sir, based on shooting positions, timing between attacks, and movement patterns, we're facing a single shooter with advanced military training. Likely special operations background, extensive fieldcraft experience, and detailed knowledge of our base layout." Harrison studied the data Maria had compiled on her primary monitor. "How is he moving between positions without being detected?" "Underground drainage system," Maria replied, pointing to base infrastructure schematics displayed on her secondary screen. "The old Soviet-era tunnels provide concealed movement routes between multiple surface positions. He's using our own defensive blind spots against us." Chen's voice crackled through the communication system as the third attack occurred at 13:34 hours. Corporal James Wright had been manning a checkpoint when the round struck him in the leg, wounding but not killing him in what appeared to be a deliberate choice by the enemy sniper. "Command, Overwatch 1. Another hit. Grid reference 47 Alpha. Shooter has relocated again. No visual contact established." Maria analyzed the third attack with growing understanding of the enemy's methodology. The pattern was becoming clear. He was conducting a psychological warfare campaign designed to create fear and confusion rather than maximize casualties. Each shot demonstrated his capabilities while maintaining the tactical advantage of remaining undetected. "Sir," Maria said to Colonel Harrison, "he's not trying to kill as many people as possible. He's demonstrating superiority, creating terror and testing our response capabilities. This is intelligence gathering as much as it is an attack." Harrison's expression showed recognition of the implications. "He's studying us while we're trying to find him." "Exactly, sir. Every response we make provides him with information about our procedures, equipment capabilities, and personnel." For the next 4 hours, the deadly game of cat and mouse continued. The enemy sniper struck twice more, wounding Specialist Sarah Johnson and killing Private First Class Roberto Martinez with shots that came from positions that should have been impossible to reach undetected. Chen and Kim had exhausted their conventional search methods, deploying thermal imaging, motion sensors, and acoustic detection equipment without success. The enemy possessed skills that exceeded standard military training, suggesting special operations background or professional assassin experience. "Command, this is Overwatch 1, Chen reported with obvious frustration. "We've covered every probable shooting position within 1,200 meters. This shooter is operating beyond our current capabilities to detect and engage." Maria had been tracking the attacks on a digital map that showed the progression of shooting positions over time. The pattern that emerged revealed sophisticated tactical thinking, with each position selected to maximize both shooting opportunities and escape routes. But patterns also revealed predictability, and predictability created opportunities for those who understood how to exploit them. "Colonel Harrison," Maria said, studying her analysis with growing certainty, "I believe I can predict his next position." Harrison approached Maria's workstation with intense interest. "Explain." Maria highlighted areas on her digital map where the enemy had established shooting positions, connecting them with lines that showed movement patterns through the underground tunnel system. "He's working a systematic pattern that provides maximum coverage while minimizing exposure time. Based on the progression, his next optimal position would be the water tower complex." Chen's voice came through the communication system with skepticism. "Captain, we've had that area under observation for the past 2 hours. No movement detected. He won't move there during daylight," Maria explained. "But as evening approaches and visibility decreases, that position offers the best combination of shooting angles and escape routes for a final attack before extracting." Harrison checked his watch, noting that sunset was approximately 90 minutes away. "Captain Rodriguez, are you confident enough in this assessment to base our tactical response on it?" Maria considered the question with the analytical approach she applied to all intelligence evaluations. The pattern recognition was solid, the behavioral analysis was consistent with advanced tactical thinking, and the timing aligned with optimal conditions for the type of operation they were facing. "Sir, I'm confident he'll move to that position, but I don't think conventional counter-sniper tactics will be effective against someone with his level of skill." Harrison's expression showed the stress of command responsibility combined with recognition that conventional approaches had failed for 9 hours. "What do you recommend?" Maria turned from her screens to face Harrison directly, knowing that her next words would fundamentally change her role from intelligence analyst to active participant in the tactical situation. "Sir, I request permission to take a direct action approach to this problem." The request surprised Harrison, who had known Maria as a dedicated intelligence professional but had no knowledge of any combat experience beyond basic military training. "Captain, this situation requires specialized skills beyond intelligence analysis." "Yes, sir, it does," Maria agreed, "and I have those skills." Harrison studied Maria with new interest, recognizing that she was suggesting capabilities he hadn't known she possessed. "Explain." Maria took a deep breath, knowing that her explanation would reveal aspects of her background that she had deliberately kept separate from her intelligence duties.
Sir, before my assignment to intelligence operations, I completed advanced marksmanship training and specialized in counter-sniper tactics. I've been analyzing this shooter's patterns for 9 hours, and I understand how he thinks. The revelation surprised everyone in the command center who had known Maria solely as an intelligence analyst. Harrison leaned forward with focused attention. What kind of marksmanship training? Scout sniper school, advanced urban warfare training, and specialized counter-sniper operations, Maria replied. I transitioned to intelligence work because I preferred the analytical side of operations, but the tactical skills remain current. Chen's voice came through the communications system as he monitored their conversation. Captain, with all due respect, analyzing sniper operations is different from executing them under combat conditions. You're right, Sergeant Chen, Maria acknowledged, but you've been trying to outshoot him for 9 hours without success. Maybe it's time to try outthinking him. Harrison made a command decision with the rapidity that had defined his successful military career. Captain Rodriguez, you're authorized to implement your tactical approach. What do you need? Maria felt the familiar sensation of transitioning from analyst to operator, shifting mental gears from observer to active participant in a lethal engagement. Sir, I need access to a precision rifle system, current weather data, and approximately 30 minutes to position myself before he makes his move to the water tower. Within 15 minutes, Maria had transitioned from her intelligence workstation to a sniper position on the communications building rooftop. The rifle she carried was a military standard M24 sniper weapon system, configured for the precision engagement she anticipated would be necessary. But Maria's approach differed fundamentally from Chen's methodical search pattern. Instead of looking for the enemy, she had positioned herself where her analysis indicated he would appear, using predictive intelligence rather than reactive hunting. As evening approached and shadows lengthened across the base, Maria settled into the patient mindset that distinguished successful snipers from merely competent marksmen. Her intelligence training had taught her to think like the enemy, and her tactical training had taught her to translate that understanding into lethal action. At 1847 hours, movement in the water tower complex confirmed Maria's prediction. The enemy sniper approached his final position with the careful fieldcraft that had kept him undetected for 9 hours, but Maria's analysis had anticipated both his route and his timing. Through her scope, she observed a figure moving with professional competence toward a shooting position that would provide him with commanding views of the base. Maria controlled her breathing with the precision that had carried her through scout sniper training, each inhalation and exhalation timed to minimize movement that could affect shot placement. Her finger applied pressure to the trigger with gradual increase that would release potential energy into kinetic energy without disturbing the rifle's alignment. Base command, this is Rodriguez, she whispered into her communication system. I have visual contact with the enemy shooter. Preparing to engage, the enemy sniper was establishing his shooting position when Maria fired. The M24's report echoed across the base as the 7.62mm round crossed 340 meters in less than half a second, striking the target center mass with precision that ended the 9-hour siege instantly. Base command, this is Rodriguez, Maria reported with professional calm. Enemy shooter down, threat neutralized. The silence that followed seemed to extend indefinitely as base personnel processed the sudden conclusion of a crisis that had paralyzed operations for the entire day. Then Chen's voice crackled through the communication system with amazement and respect. Outstanding shot, Captain Rodriguez. Confirmed kill from 340 meters. As Maria secured her weapon and prepared to return to the command center, she reflected on the transition from intelligence analyst to tactical operator that had been necessitated by circumstances beyond conventional solutions. The enemy had been neutralized not through superior marksmanship, but through superior analysis combined with the tactical skills to act on that analysis. Colonel Harrison met Maria at the base of the communications building, his expression showing relief combined with curiosity about the intelligence officer who had just demonstrated combat capabilities none of them had suspected. Captain Rodriguez, that was exceptional work, Harrison said. Your analysis was perfect, and your execution was flawless. Thank you, sir, Maria replied, though her tone carried the same measured professionalism that had characterized her intelligence briefings rather than the satisfaction typically associated with successful combat operations. Harrison studied Maria with new understanding. Captain, I'm curious about your background. Scout sniper training isn't typically part of intelligence officer development. Maria had known this conversation would come eventually, the moment when her dual capabilities would be examined and questions would be asked about the path that had led her from tactical operations to intelligence analysis. Sir, I began my career in tactical units, she explained, but I discovered that I was more effective at understanding enemy behavior than eliminating individual targets. Intelligence work allows me to impact multiple operations rather than focusing on single engagements. Harrison nodded with appreciation for personnel who understood their strengths and chose assignments that maximized their contributions. Captain, would you be interested in developing a program that combines intelligence analysis with tactical response? Your approach today suggests capabilities we should be utilizing more systematically. The offer represented a return to tactical operations that Maria had deliberately moved away from, but on terms that would allow her to maintain the analytical focus she had found more satisfying than pure combat roles. Sir, I'd be interested in exploring that possibility, Maria replied. But I want to maintain my primary assignment to intelligence operations. Today was effective because I understood the enemy's patterns before engaging him tactically. Harrison smiled with understanding. Agreed. Sometimes the best tactical action is the one that's based on superior intelligence. As evening settled over forward operating base Blackwater, Maria returned to her intelligence center, where multiple screens still displayed the surveillance data that had enabled her to predict and neutralize the enemy threat. The familiar environment felt different now, charged with the knowledge that intelligence analysis and tactical action could be combined when circumstances required both capabilities. The enemy sniper who had terrorized the base for 9 hours had been eliminated not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the application of analytical thinking to tactical problems. Maria's approach had demonstrated that sometimes the most effective weapon is understanding how the enemy thinks, combined with the ability to act on that understanding when action becomes necessary. Staff Sergeant Chen approached Maria's workstation as she resumed her intelligence duties, his expression showing professional respect for someone who had accomplished what his conventional tactics could not. Captain Rodriguez, Chen said, I've been counter-sniping for 8 years, and I've never seen anything like your approach today. You didn't hunt him, you just knew where he would be. Maria looked up from her screens with a slight smile. Intelligence work teaches you to think like the enemy, Sergeant Chen. Today, I just took that thinking one step further. Chen nodded with understanding that suggested a new appreciation for the connection between intelligence analysis and tactical operations. Ma'am, if you ever want to cross-train with our unit, we could learn a lot from your methods. The offer represented professional recognition from specialists who had witnessed the effectiveness of combining analytical thinking with tactical execution. It was acknowledgement that Maria's approach had opened new possibilities for addressing threats that exceeded conventional response capabilities. As the base returned to normal operations and the immediate crisis passed, Maria continued her intelligence duties with the quiet satisfaction of someone who had successfully applied specialized skills when circumstances demanded their use. The enemy sniper, who had seemed invincible for 9 hours, had been defeated by intelligence analysis translated into tactical action. 3 months later, the Rodriguez method had become part of standard training for intelligence personnel who might encounter situations requiring both analytical and tactical responses. Maria's approach had demonstrated that effective counter-sniper operations sometimes required thinking like the enemy rather than simply outshooting him. The intelligence briefing room at Forward Operating Base Blackwater continued its constant hum of data analysis, but with new understanding that sometimes the person behind the screens possessed capabilities that extended far beyond data processing. Captain Maria Rodriguez had proven that the deadliest weapon isn't always the rifle. Sometimes it's the mind that knows exactly when and where to use it. Her screens still displayed surveillance feeds, intercepted communications, and pattern analysis data, but now everyone knew that the intelligence analyst who had seemed confined to observation and reporting could transition to direct action when the mission required both understanding the enemy and eliminating him. Maria had demonstrated that expertise in different domains could be combined when circumstances demanded comprehensive solutions, and that sometimes the most effective approach to tactical problems begins with superior intelligence analysis. The enemy sniper had been defeated not by better shooting, but by better thinking, executed with the tactical skills necessary to translate analysis into action. As the sun set over Forward Operating Base Blackwater, Captain Maria Rodriguez continued her work with the knowledge that intelligence and action, analysis and execution, thinking and shooting could be combined when duty required all of these capabilities in a single person. The mind behind the rifle had proven as deadly as the rifle itself, and sometimes that combination was exactly what the mission required.